Hey,
Straight up paranormal, man. Straight up paranormal.
welcome to the second hour. Oh, this is the third hour now, isn't it?
Wow.
Third hour.
Yeah, the first 2 hours were us.
I can go do
Zombies
that.
are still here.
You getting your brains blasted?
Yeah, I'm not deaf like the rest of you musicians.
Oh, see, that's
I can still hear.
that's what you get for not being in live music venues on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Still got a whole full.
It's still
spectrum.
super loud, but it's fine.
No, it's not. It's bad for you. It would make you deaf.
Now I can't hear anything.
Perfect.
A little more.
Keep
A little
talking.
more.
Keep talking.
Yeah,
Keep
a little
talking.
more.
Keep talking.
Nope. There,
Keep talking.
there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Ooh, I see other
That's better.
people.
Yeah, we're gonna bring them on here in a second. But first, we'll introduce our next guests with their guests. so taking over this hour, we have our very own Keith Davidson and Lindsay Carroll, who run
Straight up paranormal.
Straight Up Paranormal. And every other Sunday, they do a show, which is a lot of fun, where they talk to other couples that that also do the paranormal.
Yes.
And it's a lot of fun.
It is
Do that
exciting.
paranormal thing.
We get to learn the personal side of people.
And so we're going to do it right now. So I'll let you introduce your
Sweet.
guests.
Yeah, our guests today are Jay and Marie Yates.
Woohoo! Hi guys.
Hey guys,
Hi.
how's it going?
Busy.
I hear you. I hear
Feel
you.
that.
That's a good thing, though, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
I don't know what all that jazz is about, but somebody somewhere said it was a good idea to be busy, but
Yeah, it's overrated.
for real.
Well, you guys have a huge event coming up in a couple of weeks, which we're super excited about.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, been a lot of planning.
I'm sure. I'm
You've
sure
been
it's
a
not.
little
It's
bit
not
away
in.
from it.
Yeah, I've been lucky here lately. She's been the one dealing with a lot of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. We feel your pain for that. That's for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Marie, we missed you last time when we had Jay on The Truth About Beer, and we're excited to be able to have you on now, and hopefully get to meet you guys while we're out there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So
Hopefully, I'm planning on it. I'm gonna hunt him down.
that'll be cool. Yeah, but thanks for jumping on with us today, guys. We definitely want to push the event today. Let people know about it, especially if they're here locally in Arizona or if they plan on coming out to the event, because we've never been to it. We're excited to go, but we've heard a lot about it, and the last couple of times you talked to us about it. It should be a good time. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that's coming up October. Does it run 8th, 9th, and 10th, or 9th and 10th?
It's 8th, 9th, and 10th. So
it is 8th, Friday.
Yeah, so we have the things going on every day from Friday to Sunday all the way till Sunday night.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Friday is actually the daytime daytime ghost hunt and tour.
Yeah.
But that's completely sold out. And
Okay.
then we have the meet and greet on Friday night.
Okay.
And we do have some tickets left for that one. And then Saturday is the conference where you'll be able to see all the speakers, workshops, gallery reading by Patty from Ghost Adventures, and then a whole bunch of food vendors. I mean, tons of vendors.
Lots of vendors.
Yeah,
That's
tons
awesome.
of vendors. I'm very excited about
What's
them all.
32 vendors, I think. 32.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's
it's good.
crazy.
Pretty big. And then we have the ghost hunt on Saturday night that is almost completely sold out. And then
We have less than 10 tickets to that, I think.
yeah, we had 2 VIP tickets that came up that somebody graciously actually donated to people. I mean, so we got those donated out to somebody else, and then we have 2 more that just came up. So
That's
Very
cool.
cool.
So we have a couple things come for people for VIP tickets, and then Sunday is actually just conference as well. So it's going to be
And then
tons
Sunday
of good.
night, we end it with a UFO Skywatch led by Jeff Woolwin, and Marie and I will talk a little bit about some of our stuff on that perspective.
I'm not an expert on that at all. I'm going to be there learning.
Just because TV says we're experts, that does not
No.
mean it's expert.
No, that's cool. That sounds exciting. I know we're going to have a booth there, so that's going to be a lot of fun to be there and mingle with people and get to meet them, meet some new people. That's going to be really cool.
We're excited.
Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about Vulture City in itself? Because I'm not familiar with it. I've never been out there, and I don't know, who has been. So yeah, why don't you give a little brief history on it?
Yeah. Okay. So Vulture City was established in 1863 by a man named Henry Wickenburg. We do know of the town of Wickenburg now, which was actually named after him later on. Henry Wickenburg traveled here. It took him, about a year boat ride to finally arrive in San Francisco. He heard a lot about the Arizona territory, got a party together, made his way down into the valley. When he got to the valley, he actually helped with the Salt River Project, restoring water to the old Indian ruin canal systems. So he was really started all that, right, which was great.
That's cool.
And he was up in a town called Seymour, which is just outside of Wickenburg. And there was a lot of stories, and there's a lot of lore, and it's hard to really figure out exactly how it was really discovered. There's a lot of different stories, but one of them is that there was a bright, shiny light that would come from the mountains to the west, and some people were very superstitious about it. But that's one of the stories which kind of led Henry Wickenburg to head that way. And lo and behold, it turned out being quartz crystal with the giant vein of gold leading right into the earth. And the rest was history from that. But it's a ghost town that was in operation all the way up until the 40s. Contrary to what a lot of people believe, that it did not shut down for World War II. It actually continued its operation under skeleton crew. And we were allotted that opportunity by the government to do so when a lot of places had to shut down. But that was pretty much detrimental to the actual town itself. And it ended up actually, it was not enough men to keep up, with all the tunnel systems.
Yeah.
So after World War II, when everyone flooded back into the town, they realized that they considered it at that time a complete loss. But there is currently an active gold mine to the west of Vulture City Ghost Town, which they are actively extracting gold. And they evidently are doing quite well and have been for many years. But with that being said, it kind of just was disappeared. It just kind of fell off the maps, really. We had a lot of caretakers over the history of between the 1950s all the way up into the early 2000s that were kind of out there just kind of watching and overseeing it the best that they could. And then the current owners that own it now came in and they ended up purchasing it. And I think it was a passion hobby that turned into quickly oh wow, this is costing a lot of money to restore these buildings. We should probably open it up to the public, so we can
get some money from them
and actually recoup some of the costs. Now they don't like me talking about how much they put into it, but I can tell you that the amount
I can only imagine it's probably a ton.
It's ridiculous, yes. But it's so beautiful. They actually took this town that by the time they got it was pretty much in complete ruins. So if you watch the Ghost Adventure episode that happened about 10 years ago, you see the town and you're like, it's pretty much forgotten and gone. And now it's been completely rebuilt and using the original materials to do so, which is beautiful. And they've done a great job. It's amazing what they were able to do. It's definitely gotten some exposure over the years. The past couple years, it was on Ghost Adventures, which aired in April. It was on Ghost Brothers we filmed for, which aired I think a couple months before that. And we just got done filming a couple months ago with Demi Lovato and the Wrath Chasers for a new show called Unidentified, which actually airs next week.
September 30th.
Yes. So yeah, there's a whole lot of, and I go on forever. I did a lot of history tours out there, volunteered a lot of our time out there, just because of pure passion and just loving the place. But if you haven't been out there and you get an opportunity to come out there and check it out, it's very easy to fall in love with, and it just kind of grows on you. It's a beautiful property. So you have about 16 different buildings throughout the entire property, ranging in very small to very large. So it's at least 15 acres, I think the town is, that's zoned for the LLC or the tours and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's a very large property, and those buildings are scattered throughout. Now, if you're coming to Vulture City to get that Tombstone vibe, you're not going to get it there. And I love Tombstone. I'm a huge fan. It's one of the places where I caught my first ghost photograph. And nowadays I go there, I end up at Big Nose Caves and I forget why I came. But it's not selling soap out of the brothel, T-shirts out of the post office.
Yeah.
It's literally, they've kept it organic and they've kept it as natural as possible. And for
That's
that, I just absolutely love it. It's completely off the grid, so all the power source there is either solar generated or by generator. So it's definitely completely off grid, so you get that vibe. And you're still kind of out there in the middle of nowhere. So you're about.
It's paranormal investigator's dream because there's no
Right,
electricity,
right.
So
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
awesome.
Yep.
And I think we've spent the last 4 years out there and hundreds of investigations. During COVID, we pretty much dug in out there, it was amazing. The breakthroughs that we got, being able to be out there as much as we were. I've personally never continually investigated the location for that many years, nor has Marie. So I mean, as far as evidence is concerned, paranormally, it's a playground. It's amazing. The spirits, I think, consider it like a paradise, and they're there and they communicate, and it's just like an onion, just peeling back the layers constantly.
How I always promote it, it's a real abandoned ghost town. Anybody asks is with all the vendors and speakers, like, oh, what do I have to do with Wi-Fi and electricity? I don't know how I could say this. It's a real
There ain't
abandoned
none.
ghost town.
Yeah.
Out there.
It ain't here. Sorry.
Yeah. So and then that's a plus too. So like for investigators, you're not having to worry about, like a lot of
Any
the EMF
interference.
and stuff. So I mean, and that's been really cool. Yeah, I mean, like I said, like we first started chasing ghosts there, and then we started chasing elementals, and then we realized that there's a lot of layers, and there's a lot of things going on in the sky. There's a lot of things going on the grounds, stuff that I wanted to believe in for years, and I wouldn't believe in it as much as I do now, have I not seen it myself.
Right.
Literally, you're talking about a location that when we were doing tours out of there, you couldn't, I mean, like, evidence was crazy. Like, I mean, every single time we had a tour to the public, I mean, our guests were like showing us these amazing photographic pieces of evidence, ranging from partial body apparitions to full body apparitions, Native American spirits. We've even seen elementals. It just goes on and on and on and on. It's just such an amazing location. We're very blessed that we've been able to be a part of it, and been there as long as we have. And the Paranormal Conference is just the icing on the cake for us.
Right.
And it's needed. I mean, the town, you can imagine in the Arizona heat, just the dry rot from the wood and the termites and things like that. It's a constant fight to keep it alive. And with that, like, funds have to come from somewhere to pay for the staff that's there, that's, working on it. And then, of course, there's a portion of it that's a nonprofit as well. And it's just, we're just doing everything we can to just keep it alive for future generations, whether you're into the history, the ghosts, or something else. It's got a little bit of everything for everybody.
Awesome.
That's awesome. And especially with you guys being able to be there so often during COVID, they get to know you. So I'm sure you were able to have a lot of really good conversations and evidence and everything, because it's not just your first time there.
Right.
You're there all the time.
There's actually definitely personal relationships that we have with some of the spirits and ghosts that are there in the town. Like, in fact, last night, who was it? It was Unearthing the Supernatural are now running ghost tours out of there now. And it was the first time we hadn't been out there for one of those in a long time. And I guess some of our resident spirits were actually pretty bummed that we weren't there. It's almost heartbreaking because but a beautiful place, beautiful location. It just won't disappoint. I mean, the conferences, Marie and I have been going to conferences for years now, and you see the things that you like and you see the things that you didn't like. And we've really tried to make this conference, just a fun, networking, meetup, enjoyable experience all the way around, and just cutting out all the crap. I mean, of course we have our headliners and stuff, but we're not like huge A-list celebrity headliner heavy. We incorporate people from all walks of life, whether you're on television, you write books, or you're just specifically in the field, just putting in the work. Like, we respect all realms of the paranormal community, and we try to give everyone an equal opportunity to headline out there and to be able to speak. And that will continue to happen, and this will continue to grow, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And you know, thank you for what you guys do. I mean, especially trying to preserve history is just incredible. A little bit what I like to get out on this show is get to know you guys personally as paranormal partners. But my first question for you is going to be kind of twofold. So my first question is, how did you guys meet and get into the paranormal world? But to extrapolate on that a little bit more is, how did you get started with this whole
Adventure.
the whole Paracon thing out there? What drew you into that? So
Yeah, this goes way back, and it always starts with me. I usually this conversation is, I was born like haunted and experiencing paranormal phenomenon like my entire life. So that the paranormal was normal for me. As a child, I didn't have like these ghost hunting shows, and it wasn't as popular and like something that you would bring up at a dining room table with your family back then. And I'd always heard about this couple, Ed and Lorraine Warren. And during Halloween they'd have like these special Dateline 2020 with Ed and Lorraine, and like these fact or fake things around Halloween time. And I would literally record these on VHS, and I would watch them all the time. I would read and study books about cryptozoology, poltergeists, hauntings, because I really wanted to figure out what was happening in my own personal life. So I literally was tested every year from the age of 5 to the age of 14, to make sure I wasn't like actually crazy. And I say this because I mean it's the reality.
I say it's crazy.
Yeah, probably.
Well, they usually are.
Yeah, the psychiatrist and whatnot would be like, he's either really seeing these spirits, or he really believes that he is. Like, it's not made up. And they would just kind of be dumbfounded. Like, he doesn't have any. He doesn't seem to have any kind of issues. But I had a very supportive grandmother and mother that really had my back with this. And as I grew older, in August 13th of '99, I had a near-death experience, and it kind of forever changed like my direction, I guess. And I literally for a moment was, a spirit, and I saw my shell, and for that, it kind of put me in a whole new path. But I've been investigating, not knowing what the hell I was doing, but since the late 1990s. And after that, I got into the church, and I became ordained, and I was really trying to get like a pastor's role. And I pretty much got excommunicated because I believed in angels, demons, and ghosts.
right.
And they thought my message was a little bit darker, I guess, than some because of that. I don't know why, but I had a little talking to more than one time, and finally I was just kind of like lost. And I ended up finding Marie, and a complete non-believer. Now I'm going to let her talk now, but she's going to tell you.
You're going to allow me?
Oh, nice. Uh-oh. We're starting fights again.
Wait, I'm fully in control. Just let me have this moment. No, but I mean, like, she's going to tell you that she didn't believe in spirits. She didn't have any upbringing, but the places that she hung out at as a child was the haunted house in the woods, the haunted park, the haunted bridge, the haunted railroad, and then the haunted cornfields. And so I think it was calling her a long time ago too, but I'll let you go ahead.
So I will say I had a boring childhood, I guess.
I know, compared to his, psyche vows every 5 years.
I honestly did not know much about ghosts at all. Only ghost I would say is Casper the Friendly Ghost on TV. Is my ghost thing. But it is true. I was a wanderer. I went into places that it said do not go into. I went into. So probably a lot. And then finding out after being out there doing conventions and meeting different groups and stuff, a lot of those places back up in Indiana are all haunted. So it's pretty funny. Yeah, everywhere I used to hang out was haunted. But I honestly just did it because you weren't supposed to go in there, and I wanted to. I did whatever I did to irritate my mother. So, but how Jay and I met is he was actually my cousin's best friend.
Okay.
So he sort of introduced us. He sort of pushed us together.
Yeah.
We were both not ready. We were both just ending other relationships and so not ready for anything. But I guess when it's the time, and you meet that person. But I will say we argued like crazy when we first met. I have no idea how we ended up together because we just like we didn't agree on anything.
We still don't.
We still don't, but I mean,
Yeah, well,
and
it works apparently.
Yeah, it's like it works for us. But after we did start dating and stuff, to be honest with you, he fell in love with my children before he fell in love with me.
Mm.
So if any mother out there knows, like, okay, that pulls your heartstrings. So
Right.
Yeah.
but that's
Plus, I'm very charming, very handsome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that all helps. Yeah.
But I mean, the whole paranormal thing for me didn't really hit me until I really met him, and he did tell me about his experiences and stuff. I do have an autistic son that
Okay.
always used to see things and all that,
Yeah.
but I just thought he was seeing it because it was mental illness and
Yeah.
autistic. So, but when Jay started coming around, he was seeing the same things my son was seeing. So that
You're
is
like,
when
great,
I
they're both
started-
crazy.
Yes, I wanted to start reading and learning more about the paranormal, and I think when you start diving into it a little bit more,
Yeah.
it sort of attaches to yourself. So.
Well, and then you start seeing all that stuff and you're like, oh, maybe that is really something.
It took I think 5-6 years after doing it, I started having my own abilities. I think anybody and everybody has some kind of sensibility, some kind of
Yeah.
senses or abilities. I just think you have to open them up and be able to see it and stuff.
Yeah.
So it happened to me. I always say I hear stuff, he sees stuff. So when we get really old, that's a good thing. At least one of us,
Right?
can
At least
see.
one person will be able to see and one can hear. So you're good.
Yeah.
I'm still
But,
working on this guy to be able to feel anything.
So
the whole Paracon thing came on after we met Vulture City. It was so weird. It came how it came is I go to one hair salon, lady, she's the only one that can do my hair, and salons, women like to
Gab.
talk and chat and everything. And she was telling me, we were out. I think we were going filming for another show or something. And she's like, "Oh, you guys got to check out Vulture City." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's always been on our radar, but it's always been closed for so long that no one was able to get back into
Switch ownership and
Yeah, so she's like, "Oh, I know the owners; they'll let you in." So
And you're like, okay.
yeah. So I was like, okay. So we did contact them, and I will tell you, we hit off with the owners.
they're like literally our best friends.
Yeah, they're like
That's
our
awesome.
best friends now. So it's like, to be honest, and then when we got there, all the stuff they did, it's amazing what they've done. And they were doing more and even more.
And the fact that they were doing it not for the purpose of like financial gain,
No.
and we see so much of that specifically here in the media lately and social media that people have done things for profit.
Yeah.
I'll
They're
shut-
doing
I'll
it
shut
to
up.
preserve
But,
that area. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll shut up. But anyways, they literally did it out of a place of just love and appreciation and passion for history.
That's
And
awesome.
they knew that there was always the stories of the paranormal there. And there, of course, there's been teams out there previously that have investigated before we even came around.
Yeah.
But it was when the town was like in ruins, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really heavily controlled and organized. And we kind of helped create that organization. We started piecing together the puzzles. And literally, I think one day we probably will write a book about our experiences out there because it's just that huge and it just continues. And it literally... one thing led to another, and it's like, oh, we should do a conference out here, and we should bring people out here, and we're like, yeah, well, we can do that. And then it just started growing in 2019 when we did the first one. I mean, it was just kind of getting started, and it was very well received. We had hundreds of people show up, and we're like,
That's
oh my
awesome.
God, and previous to that, I mean, they were lucky before this to maybe get 50-60 people a week, and now on their busy seasons they're getting sometimes 100-150 people a day.
That's awesome.
So it's literally, and for us it was like, if we could bring a paranormal aspect to this, which then would bring it more exposure to then bring more people out here, which then can help you guys to continue doing this and continue this for further generations.
To rebuild.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And it's definitely helped them out quite a bit. And like I said, the conference this year, last time we did it, it was literally all day Saturday, then the ghost hunt. That was it.
Right.
And this year, it's literally a 2.5 day event. And I'm sure by next year, it will be like a full 3-day event.
That's
And
awesome. Did you guys get to do it in 2020, or were you guys shut down with everybody else?
We didn't. We could have done it. There was some loopholes that we could have done it, but we didn't feel it was responsible to do it.
Right.
Okay.
And we were like, you know what? Let's just like pull back. And it was crazy because we went back and like, okay, guys, anyone wants their refunds, we'll refund you.
Yeah.
And literally only like 10% wanted refunds, and they were like, no, we're coming back the next year. Like,
Oh, wow.
Just save our spot.
I'm like, yes. I'm like, good, okay. And then it just started to grow and then grow and then grow. And we're expecting several hundred people out there this year. And we're opening up to the public. So, I mean,
That's awesome.
For the vendors' purposes as well. Like, I mean, we want traffic on their tables. And
we tried to make it cheap because, I mean, growing up these days with a family and everything, money is a big deal.
Right.
You can't afford anything, but you still want to out there and experience stuff. It's only $20 to get into the conference, say Saturday.
That's awesome.
And you get to see all these, all the guest speakers, the celebrities, the workshops, all that. Plus, you get to see all the buildings in Vulture City. Can do a history tour, all that.
That's
kind of
cool.
$20.
That's
or
not
you can
bad,
come
yeah.
on
No, that's
Sunday.
awesome, especially if you have family and kids. And
Yeah, I mean, it's
and we wanted it that. We wanted it to be kind of like, you know, as much family friendly as you can for the paranormal.
Yeah.
For us, it's normal, but for other people, maybe not.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you know, we anticipate quite a bit. And again, like we're already looking at next year having to add additional parking lots because of this thing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's awesome. I'm so
it's pretty
excited.
badass.
so you can go $20 and just go shopping there because there's tons of vendors.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
There's a
that's
little
not
flea
going to help
market.
the money issue. I'm just saying.
So you guys literally put Vulture City back on the map. In a sense.
You know, I think the spirits did. You know,
Yeah.
I think
True.
they did, and they just cooperated, and you know, it just happened to be like a situation to where we've been working with TV for years now. We have a lot of contacts. We get contacted on a regular basis about locations for certain shows like Ghost Adventures and production companies that work for other shows. So it was you know, it was like, wow, let's just dump all of our energy into this because this is a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
and you just and honestly, being a native to Arizona and being here my entire life, I've seen so many of these places just kind of get bulldozed, or they've
Right.
turned
Yeah.
into some commercial.
Everything.
Yeah,
It's just
it was
run
like,
over.
why not help out and do something and kind of like give back, and we did, and it's
There's so many to Vulture. I will, and people say, "Oh, you guys did so much." And to be honest with you, like Stefan, he's the caretaker, more or less caretaker,
artist,
security
man.
artist. But he's done a lot of the work at Vulture.
Right.
And then
Awesome.
Tina, she's the one that decorates it. I would say she puts the pretty part of it.
There you
in
go.
there. She like rearranges everything where it looks nice and fits perfectly when you're walking into the brothel what it's supposed to look like. So yeah, so I mean, there's so many different.
it's a whole team.
It
Really.
is.
It's a whole team.
And there's a whole bunch of other ones as well. I mean, that just comes out there and they put so much of their time.
we
in
were
it.
just we were in a situation to where, you know, and people get confused, like we're the owners and stuff, but we're
Yeah.
we're more or less like, I guess, because the owners don't want any notoriety from
No.
it at all, and like they just kind of want to just like they just love hearing the stories and all the positive reviews and the great experiences, and I've never seen someone run a business like they do, and it's really like inspiring, and how they deal with stuff, because sometimes we look at stuff like, you're being way too nice, like and like they're like, no, this is how we do business and we want to keep doing it. Like, well, you're not going to have a business if we keep giving
We always
everything
say
away.
the Robin, she's one of the owners. She's the how you have the angel and the
Mhm.
devil on your face. She's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
angel. I'm the devil. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, then it balances out perfectly.
Right.
yes.
yeah, I guess
So
so.
I do see some comments in the audience. I know Joey put a few up there, but it seems like our audience really appreciates what you do too. And you know, I think
Oh, that's great.
that's one thing our group strives for too, is to try to keep the history alive of some of these
Yeah.
places. And I think it's so important what you guys do. And I thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's our pleasure. I want it there for our great grandkids.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yep, absolutely. And you're helping Wickenburg out because they are technically in Wickenburg, right? Or is it a separate city?
It's a weird.
It's so weird. It's actually Maricopa County, and Wickenburg
okay.
not Maricopa County.
Seriously?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
weird.
It's
so
very strange.
It's really strange, but it has Wickenburg as a city on the address. So,
Yeah.
Oh wow, so it's kind of like us.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Where we're lost in between two places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wickenburg is probably very happy about the success of Vulture. It's definitely brings a lot, especially the conferences, the tours, a lot of hotels, and
Yeah, because all the hotels are
I
there.
will say a
So
lot of the businesses in Wickenburg, to the chambers, to the city of Wickenburg, all of them have been a big help.
They've been very helpful.
Very helpful of trying to get it going and promoting and being working together. So
actually, everyone between the county, the city, or the town of Wickenburg, the county, sheriff's office, everybody.
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
I mean, the feeling the love of how what the owners have done to it. So
right. I don't know if you guys can see the comments up on the screen, but Candace has a question. Have you guys ever come encounter with bad spirits during your investigations out there?
Yeah, actually, I always tell people when we do the tours out there, 99% of the spirits there or the ghosts there are very positive. But there is that 1%. And of course, we went on ghost adventures, that 1% was told, And of course, when we went on Ghost Brothers, that 1% was talked about. But we try to make sure that we get a good balance of the good and the bad. But yeah, I mean, it's there. And it's more
I will say there's no demonic. It's nothing demonic.
No.
So if anyone think that, it's, you know what, back in the day, if you read up on history or people just know it, miners and cowboys and stuff like that, there really wasn't cowboys there, but it was miners. They were really grumpy. I mean, they worked underneath the ground for so long, come back out,
It was a different breed of human being back then,
I think the new generation is especially women. I will say in a lot of the buildings, women get a little bit more feeling a pushback. And I think a lot of it has to do with back in the day, women weren't allowed to be in those in some of the buildings. Yeah. So, and why are you in this area? And I think a lot of times I get way more pushback compared to Jay, because I'm very headstrong. I'm the one that brings a lot more to the town. I'm the one that, does the thing. So
you bring in the people there, and some of the spirits maybe don't want all the exposure and maybe all the people there. And there actually has been times where we've even shut down tours because of that, because we saw the difference, and we really want to make sure that. Yeah, we've actually come in. We've had blessings done even by Native Americans, in some religious outlets, right? To keep it blessed, to keep it neutral, to keep it, and we want peace with them, and we don't want this to be like a pony show, or what would you call a puppet master to the spirits and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We want it to be organic, and we want it to be natural. We don't want it to be forced. If they want to communicate, we want them to communicate and feel comfortable doing that. But ghosts are people too, and some people in life are jerks, and in death they're jerks too. But
exactly.
And that's just the kind of way we look at it. But yeah, there is a small percentage of a darker side to it.
Have you ever gotten to know the spirits after
all your time there, a specific spirit?
I will say one for sure. I have gotten it. I'll tell Jay. Let Jay tell you a little bit about the story of the one spirit. Yeah, because I didn't tell him about it, and this is how it started.
Okay, so to answer that question, yes, we have. After about 6 months of being there, God knows how many times. One evening we were home, and we have a 2-story house, and we had fallen asleep downstairs, on the sofa watching TV or whatever. And I was woken up by one of my cats crying to get into my teenage son's room. And you have teenagers, they don't listen, right? So and I'm like, okay, the cat's trying to get in your room, Brandon, open the door. And of course he doesn't listen. So I walk halfway up the stairs to the landing, and I'm like, Brandon, the cat's crying to get into the room, open the door. And of course no one's listening to me. But I started hearing a little girl, and she was saying, hi, kitty, hi, pretty kitty. And I'm like, oh my
Wow.
God. The problem is I don't have any little girls in my house. Right? So I kind of slowly, and I've been haunted my entire life, but it was just one of those like very clear, like voices. And so where I like, oh my God. So I just slowly walk back downstairs, and my wife wakes up and she says, Jay, you ready to go upstairs and go to bed? And I'm like, no, I'm good. We can just
He's
sleep
like,
back
no.
down. Screw it, you know. Like,
Good.
but the next morning, I think she was doing laundry, and we're just doing like stuff around the house. And I'm like, babe, you won't believe this. Last night, this happened. And she says, oh, that's Izzy. She follows us home from Vulture all the time. She really likes you too. And I'm like, when the hell did you think it would have been a good time to tell me
Yeah.
that like there's a little girl spirit named Izzy
That just
been coming to
follows
our
us
house?
home.
Yeah. So
It happens so often on just certain things that
Yeah.
sometimes we just go on. That's what we do. It's just you go on with your regular life and just sort of like, okay, block. And I do forget
I've
to
seen
tell.
her. I've seen her. I know for a fact once in my house, and she appeared in almost like a black and white, almost like a projection. It was really crazy. I was sitting down on the sofa, and I saw this little girl in a dress start walking down the stairs, and I'm like, oh my God, you know. And it just like she just kind of looked at me, and then she just walked back upstairs, and I'm like, oh my God. That I knew in my heart who it was immediately. But Izzy comes through on a pretty regular basis. We've dedicated the entire space at Vulture for her. In fact, investigators from all over actually bring her toys and gifts a lot, and we have to
That's
go
cool.
through that stuff a lot. And some people think it's a really good idea, like, hey, I got this haunted doll and I'm going to give it to Izzy.
Right.
I don't know. So we've
No.
actually been a dumping ground for haunted objects.
Yeah.
So,
I don't
Wow.
think that's a good
yeah,
mix
I don't
right
know,
there,
but
y'all.
it's kind of funny too. But like she's been there, and we've had a couple other experiences with her there too. But she comes out pretty regularly to talk to us, and she'll say hello, and she'll talk about her mother and stuff like that. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But that's one of many. But that's
Yeah.
one specifically that we bring up a lot.
Wow,
That's cool.
that's interesting.
Well, tell Izzy if she's going to keep coming home with you, you're going to give her chores.
Right?
She probably wouldn't mind.
She
So-
probably wouldn't mind.
She probably wouldn't.
So Marie, since you've been, married to Jay and doing all this with Jay, have you noticed yourself becoming, maybe I'll use the word more sensitive, or have you opened up more since being, having the experiences you've had?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Before I met Jay, I mean, and even after, I didn't have any abilities. Everything he would say, I'd be like, okay, is he crazy? I mean, I still to this day do not know why I didn't run when he asked me to marry. But I think it was probably a good 5-6 years of us being married and doing stuff and everything. I used to be a manager at Starbucks at a Target, and I started hearing voices, and I swear to you, I thought I was going crazy. I had guests screaming at me because I would sit there and thought they were saying stuff. And so, yeah, it all started. And then, but now I do. I mean, I've opened up. I have more of a, ability where I hear things all the time now.
Right.
I will say I feel things a lot too. So I am an empath. And I till this day, I say he brought me to the dark side. So now I have those abilities.
You got to remember, with that too, we started out in 2003 together doing this stuff. And the reason why we did is because inherently me having these hauntings, these attachments my entire life. And I warned her, in marriage, you will experience this. Unfortunately, she agreed, right? But we ended up actually going through a very dark, demonic haunting of my own attachments for many years. And it got so bad that we reached out to the paranormal community and we asked for help, and we were rejected. And we reached out to clergy and churches, and we were also rejected. And the common answer, if we got a reply back, was we have families. What you have going on in your home sounds like something much darker than what we should be handling. And this was even coming from clergy. And
Right.
I look at that now, all these years later, and I thank them for that, because if they weren't prepared to come in and handle it, I'd much rather them not of doing so.
Right.
Exactly.
So we kind of took matters into our own hands and leaned on our faith. And we were able to find the balancing act between both the living and the dead. And that's identifying us as haunted survivors is the term that we use pretty regularly, is that we're still haunted today. So we've kind of, in a way, used our own trials and tribulation to the paranormal as a testimony to the people that we help and our clients that we serve over the years. But
Right.
earlier on, like we made it like a personal mission to go out there and say yes to the cases that nobody else would take, which made us really, like most of the cases we took, like in the beginning, for the first several years, we were all very dark.
I would say we were stupid at the
We
beginning.
were very, very stupid, but we led with our hearts. And
Yeah.
subsequently, we took on a lot of attachments these people had, and we brought this stuff back home. And it was really affecting specifically Marie and her health, to the point to where she actually was like, I don't want anything else to do with this. I don't
Right.
I don't want to move forward with this anymore. It's affecting my health. I am terrified for our family. And but you know, my response would be, well, what about their family? What about their
Right.
children? And who the hell are they going to call? And then she slowly got pulled back into it. And then with that, I started noticing that, you know, Marie, her pushback was, we never actually really talked about this too much on a podcast, but the pushback is that she's actually, like she's saying, she started really opening up to the supernatural, the paranormal, and she realized that she did inherently have a lot of gifts, and she was really connecting at a level she didn't understand, and it took her a long time to hone in on that. And we don't talk about, oh, JC's spirits and he's a psychic or a medium, and that she's like a medium or a clairvoyant or whatever. We don't use those terms because I don't want
Right.
to live up to those expectations. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But and I just think there's so many areas for error, and but it's used on our investigations, but not as verifiable evidence. It's just used as another tool in the toolbox.
It's honestly for us.
Yeah.
I mean, even our team will ask us like, "Hey, what do you guys feel?" and everything. But
Jay, what do you see?
Yeah, Marie, what do you hear and stuff like that.
Right.
I won't read anybody. I have tons of friends that are psychics and mediums. I give them all credit. Love them all. I couldn't do it. I could not imagine saying something to somebody and then they go off and do something to themselves or
Right.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
It's a lot of
I
liability.
so much
involved.
liability,
This,
and I don't think I don't feel confident enough with myself on that. So
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. So I give it to all the ones that do it, because they are able to own it and they do it and they, you know, can do that. I just don't myself.
Do you think I'm kind of listening to you talk, and I go back to what you originally said when you were a child, you went and visited all these places that you shouldn't have gone, just kind of being a rebel. But at the same time, now you're developing these skills being with Jay. Do you think maybe you had it all along when you were a kid and something subconsciously was drawing you to these places that you just weren't aware of at the time, and now you know more since you've been immersed into it?
He thinks so.
Okay.
I really couldn't answer that. I will say I was raised in a very Christian Baptist home where I swear to you, I think I went to church more than I did school. So I will honestly say I even went to church camp on
and this would have been viewed as demonic or
yeah.
secular.
So I mean,
Right.
I didn't even know about rock and roll until a certain age because rock and roll back in when I went to the church was evil, you know.
Right.
So I it was just I wasn't around that time. I couldn't honestly answer that question.
Okay.
I will say there is a lot of times I've talked to Jay and I'm like, wait a sec, I sort of knew this back in the day. Like a lot of the stuff that has happened in my life now, I sort of seen when I was a child. So, and don't get me wrong, I think a lot of people have that thing too, but and I was very on friends, and my friends will probably say this all the way through elementary to high school. I just knew who was a true friend. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I had tons of friends, but I honestly knew which ones were real and not fake.
Mhm.
You had good
and
intuition.
I knew I could read people back
Yeah.
in the day. And my friends used to be
She's
jealous.
really holding back. You know, to be completely honest, she is very amazing and very, very gifted. I truly believe that this is something that she's had her entire life, and I think that by her, you know, it being with me, it's just kind of opened up that door a little bit further, and then going through straight hell that we've gone through in these paranormal battles that we've been through on our own and with other families. Like I think it just kind of brought it all out. But I mean, I can tell you that this field almost killed her on multiple occasions. and her being, you know, I mean, it's her being empathic and her feeling these energies, and we were taking it on because back then, if you would have gone to one of our lectures, you would have heard us talk about like us not using paranormal protection because we called it
Right.
bullshit, you know, and we were like, no, did I say bullshit? Oh, I just said it anyway.
You can
Sorry.
say it.
That's fine.
We say much.
But
We
I mean,
say much worse. Don't worry.
we were like, you know, crystals and all this stuff. We didn't have any belief in it. We were just like, these are rocks, and to us, they were rocks, and they were
Right.
stones, and they were oils. And but the one thing tangible that we had was our faith, you know. But we just literally just went in like just completely, you know, unprotected, and subsequently we did it on purpose, really, a lot of the times because we wanted to take on this stuff, and we would fight these things, and we would stay on cases for like a year, you know. I mean, like, and we still do that,
It's
but
the
not.
most unsettling thing you've ever experienced.
Oh, sorry,
at
reading
Vulture City
comments.
are exciting.
But yeah, she's definitely got gifts, but she's trying to be
I
honest.
will say I got into it really in deep because of my child. I mean, my children are my life. I mean, as
Right.
most mothers, I mean, my boys are honestly they are my world. I mean, that's what I'll say to them every single day is like, who's my world, and they are. And when one of them was being tortured by the paranormal, and that was my autistic son, he's my middle son, and I wasn't gonna play with it.
Right,
I
right.
went right into it. I didn't care what was gonna happen to me. I just wanted him, and I didn't understand it. So that was a thing. It's like it's really hard with the whole paranormal, and you're doing that kind of stuff. And then when you first don't even know nothing about it, it's just like, how can something torture somebody that has, you know, mental illness and autistic?
If anyone's interested in that story, we did a really cool show. It's called Scariest Night of Our Lives. The episode is called Steven's Imaginary Friend.
Okay.
And that really goes in depth of me coming into a relationship, me seeing the spirits that he was seeing, and then me having some very profound experiences there. And then when we bought our first house, literally the landlord of the house, or the apartment, or the apartment office, whatever, said, I can't believe you stayed in there that long, and because of what happened there. And then we're like, okay,
Right.
well, what happened? And then we find out that there was an actual murder suicide that took place inside the house, and the names were the names that we were hearing, and everything just added up, and we're like, oh wow. You know, so but
See, at this time, I wasn't hearing or feeling anything. I was just seeing my son being tortured. I
Right.
mean, so that's the reason I dug into it more. I read into it more. I did whatever I possibly could to like assist my son. And at the same time, it was assisting him as well because he was, you know, sort of going through the stuff as well. So that was, I mean,
yeah, there wouldn't be any of this if there wasn't Marie, to be honest with you, because I never had the courage to really come out publicly until her, you know, and do all the things that we've done now on a public level. I've watched the episode. Yes.
and if somebody
And
asked about experiences, what was our most fun experience at Vulture? Or, I mean, there's so many. I will honestly say at Vulture City, what is the most unsettling that you've experienced? I will say the most unsettling one I did was actually our last Paracon. For me, it
Oh,
was in
really?
2019. I wasn't feeling too good. It was with I have, you know, immune disease. And then with all the abilities you have an empath and everything, you sort of overwhelm with that and stuff.
Right.
So my dad wasn't doing too good. My dad actually ended dying a couple months after the Paracon. But in that whole thing, I just knew something was really wrong with my dad. It was the first time he was rushed
You
to
weren't
hospital.
very well protected.
I wasn't very well protected. I wasn't really blocking myself very good. That evening, I told Jay we were going to do the Paracon with everybody, the ghost hunt. I was like, I'm going to set this out. I'm going to sit out.
I was like, oh wow, that's great. We got
Yeah.
like 75 people here.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm going to do
Thanks,
this one
babe.
thing and sit out.
Right.
And so I was just sitting on the porch while everybody else was investigating and sort of just watching everything. And if there was an emergency, I would be there.
She turned out to be the emergency.
Yeah, well, one of
Wow.
our volunteers started screaming my name. Hey, Marie, can you come here? So I went to go towards her. And when I went towards her, I swear to God, it was a man's fist in my stomach. And it knocked me down. And to be honest with you, one thing I remember is the pain. And I probably could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the pain stopped. I remember feeling dizzy after that, but then I don't recall anything after that. They'd seen totally something else, and then I end up in the hospital.
Yeah, I got a call.
Wow.
I got
What?
yelled at by the volunteers, and they were like, "Jay and Marie just got punched in the stomach," and I'm thinking I'm gonna have to go hands on with somebody.
Yeah, no
Yeah, like
kidding.
you're gonna have to
Yeah.
fight somebody now.
Yeah, so I come running out, and Marie's doubled over out in front of the Roost, which used to be the old check-in. And I was actually investigating with a group of people with Sherry from, I think she's in Ghost Nation now. But
It's
like
called Ghost Hunters now.
Ghost Hunter, sorry, oh whatever. sorry, Sherry.
Can't keep up.
Yeah. So I see her doubled over. I come walking towards her, like, what's going on? And then her eyes blacked out like crazy, and she lunged towards me, and I'm like, oh
Wow.
crap! Like I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then she like passes out, and I catch her to the ground, and she had a very weak pulse, shallow breathing, and I ended up having to rush her to the hospital in Wickenburg. So I had to leave the conference and
Jeez.
rush her 15 minutes to 20 minutes to the hospital. And she was coming in and out of consciousness. She was screaming in pain. She doesn't remember any of this. And like I was telling her all kinds of god awful stuff to keep her awake, just to piss her
Right.
off, because I knew that would keep her kind of awake, and I didn't know what was going on. But the whole way
He's
there,
lucky I didn't hear any of it.
yeah,
Right, I was gonna say
Right.
you're lucky you don't remember none
don't
of that
remember
because
it.
he wouldn't have
Yeah,
made it
exactly.
either.
But I'm
Yeah.
scared because I'm like, how am I going to tell people at the hospital that like we think a spirit punched her in the stomach? Because like, I mean,
Then
there's
they're gonna take
psychiatric
you away
facilities
for
out there.
abusing her.
I didn't want to be the next patient in one of those.
Right,
like,
yeah,
psychiatric
exactly.
wards there or something. So like, I was like, oh, abdominal pain is all I could come up with when I got
Right.
there, you know. But they did all these tests on her, and they were like, she's fine. She didn't have heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
Her blood work looks good. Everything looks fine. And we're like, well, what the hell? Like, you know, so thank God our team was there. They kind of helped, you know, get the whole ghost hunt going the way it should have been. And it was a huge success. But that was definitely definitely one that stands out. And we talk a little bit in depth about it on that last episode of Ghost Adventures and Ghost Brothers. We talk about it a lot too.
That's crazy.
That's
That's a crazy
crazy.
story. We are getting short on time, but I do want to bring up Joey, if you pull up under the overlays on there, I have the flyer for Vulture. Yep, that one right there. So I did want to bring that up just so people can see it. And Jay, you also sent me a picture of some of the speakers that you're going to have
Yes.
this time around. So we'll bring that up too as well.
Is that the one below it?
Yeah, that's the one below it. So
Yeah, we have
You
a
guys-
huge crowd of people, amazing people coming out.
no kidding.
Yeah, you do. My goodness.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, some of them, I mean, I feel bad because I'll name some off and then I'll forget some and they feel like I can go and say their names. But like, I mean, like John Zappis, I mean, he's godfather of the paranormal. We're so excited about
Good
bringing
friend
him.
of ours.
Yeah, very good friend of ours. I'm bringing him out to the Sea Vulture. We're
Patty
excited.
from Ghost Adventures, of course.
Yep.
We have
Yeah, she's amazing. I can't wait to get her
we
readings.
have the
out
Ghost
there.
Mine, the old show Ghost Mines, fittingly for
Yeah.
Vulture City Ghost Town coming
Kristen
out.
Yep.
and Patrick, we're excited about
A
them.
huge thank you
Colin.
to Dark Zone for that.
Yeah, Dark Zone's amazing. They're one of the sponsors. And then Paraplex, Natalie Jones,
Yep.
and all them, they're a sponsor out there as well. So they're coming out. I mean,
That's cool.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
So I mean, it's going to be Scott Greenwald. Scott G. He's coming out. We're excited about him coming out. He's always can make
It's
everybody
like
laugh.
a family reunion, really, man. It's like,
Yeah.
if you're in the field long enough, this becomes like a tribe, and it's like, and if you're trying to get network and find people that are into the same thing, this is definitely the place to do it. We don't put anybody on that roster that's not humble and chill and just really like going to be like not all stuck up, arrogant ish type.
I just don't
Right.
the drama. You know what? The whole world is drama.
Exactly.
Come here for a weekend and just have fun and experience stuff that we all love. The paranormal,
Yeah.
Yep.
history, giving back to history. I mean,
And if you think the roster looks good this year, wait till next year.
yes.
Wait till next year.
Yeah,
Dun dun dun.
Well, I know we're all excited about coming out
Yeah.
and spending a couple of days with you guys, and hopefully in the future we can get our teams together and do an investigation.
Oh, I
out
would
there,
love to
'cause
get
that
out
would be a
there.
lot of fun. To be
Yeah.
able to do
That would be
that.
awesome.
That'd
You guys
be
come out
awesome.
there.
So yeah,
We do
When it's
overnights and
not
everything, so you guys
Yeah.
hot as
come to
all
home
get out.
overnights.
that would be awesome. I'd love to do it overnight. Yeah, when it's
We're
a little
there.
bit cooler out. Yeah, exactly. When it's
When
cooler
it's-
outside.
when
for
it's
sure.
not Arizona hot.
It's going to be in March, our next one, so it's cooler.
There you go. There you go.
That'll be a nice time of year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thank you guys for coming on today. I know we've been trying for a while, and your guys' schedule is just nuts with everything you guys do between your filming and all that stuff that you do. So we really appreciate you taking the time, jumping on with us today.
Yeah.
I'll blame
And,
most of my schedule on my children.
Well, dang those children.
Well, definitely thank you for what you guys do. We really appreciate, especially from us. We appreciate what you guys do with trying to preserve the history and keeping it going. And my hat's off to you guys. And keep it going. Don't stop doing what you're doing. You guys are passionate about it. You like doing it, and believe me, people appreciate that. They
Gotta
really
do what you like.
So,
But we do need to get you guys back on Paranormal Partners to actually have that conversation.
talk
We didn't
about
talk
the
about any of that this
I did.
time.
I hit a little bit on it, but
Well,
I really
we
want to make
appreciate
sure.
you guys. So you guys do something good, being on radio, getting the word out for everything. It means a lot. So you guys are really a good thing out here. So thank you for what you guys do.
Oh,
Well, thank
we
you.
apprieate that, and we're looking forward to meeting you guys.
Yes.
So
I'm
Well, we
hunting you
look
guys
forward to
down.
meeting you.
Couple more weeks.
Couple more.
Yep.
Just
And-
don't tell me that.
And Mr. Sir, I think you have my shirt.
What is it?
are you guys wearing the same shirt?
Oh yeah, we are.
Look, we're twinsies.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's good timing.
No, why aren't you wearing her shirt?
What? Because I'm wearing a Truth About Beer.
you
shirt.
want the Under Armour, right?
There you go.
Actually, my son's. I lost some weight, and I'm able to. My son gained weight, and I lost weight. So
Oh, there you
So
go.
you
You get to
switched, okay.
trade.
I got my son's shirt.
Cool.
That works.
That works good. All right, guys, we're gonna jump off because we got another segment coming up here soon. But really, thanks again. We mean it for coming on with us. We really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
All right,
Awesome.
sounds good. See you
Bye,
guys.
you
then.
guys. Thanks for
Bye,
having
All right,
guys.
cool. We'll see you guys then.
That was awesome.
Yeah, so go check out their yeah, okay. I
Are you
can't
having a
talk
stroke?
here. Their podcast. Go check out what they do. It's really cool. I know Jay shared that story about his son with us on the Truth About
Mhm.
Beer. So that was a pretty crazy story. So go check that out. Give him some love if you guys get a chance to. And what do we got coming up next? I think
We got Craig and Emma coming up.
Craig and
next.
Emma coming up.
Yeah.
I love them.
Emma's standing by. She just texted me.
Are they cool? So we'll wrap this
Alrighty
one up.
then.
So is this it?
Yeah, that's it. We're going to wrap this one up, guys, and stick around for Craig and Emma talking horror shows next.
Bye.